We all belong outside. We're drawn to nature, whether it's the recorded sounds of the ocean we doze off to, or the succulents that adorn our homes. Nature makes all of our lives, well, better. Despite all this, we often go about our busy lives removed from it. But the outdoors is closer than we realize. With All Trails, you can discover trails nearby and explore confidently. With offline maps and on-trail navigation, download the free app today and make the most of your summer with All Trails.
Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorrento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.
Everybody, welcome to a late start of the hard cam. I do apologize. I've been emceeing stuff everywhere and staying busy, and I appreciate everybody joining us on this late evening. I appreciate my cohort, my favorite human being in the whole entire world, staying up late enough so we can do this. And if he looks a little tired, now hold on a minute. I got to explain to the people something. If he looks a little tired, he has been training, saying his prayers, eating his vitamins, getting ready to take on that big, stinky, nasty giant brother and slam him and take that world heavyweight title in front of 93,000 people in the Canadian Silverdome, brother. Pretty Paul Rogers is in the house tonight. Paul, how you doing, man?
I got a little lost on the way through that intro, but I'm here. I'm back. I've come back now. But yeah, no, it's been a long week of wrestling. Like, How do you even attack it? How do you even start? What do you even shoot through first?
I don't know, man. I mean, it seems to just be getting busier. I mean, Killer Cross is getting MLW some press. TNA, I'm seeing their commercials. In their defense, I still need to go back and, watch again. And, one of the things we did on Road Trip Wrestling was JCW, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, which a lot of people hadn't seen it. They're going to laugh about it, blah, 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 whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I implore you to check it out. But have you seen their latest clip?
No, I've tried to go back to watch them again, and let's just say it's been unsuccessful. So what clip have you found from JCW?
Well, they brought in a few, since Vince Russo's been there, they've been bringing some people in and out and this, that, and the other. And I saw one with Ernest Miller, and I kind of laughed about that. But the one that got me, how much ECW did you watch in the 90s?
ECW? A little bit.
Do you remember the quintessential stud muffin, Joel Gertner?
Joel Gertner, yeah.
Oh, my God. He fatter than ever. But he cut, they showed a clip of him doing his, and I'm Joel, and he went through the whole spiel like he does. Doing his whole tongue thing and, looking like trying to be
the Rock. Is he still the neck brace on?
Oh, yeah, with the bow tie. The neck brace with the bow tie, baby. It was a whole gimmick.
Good golly, okay. Miss Molly.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go back and watch him again because he, as bad as, just like everything if things didn't end badly, they wouldn't end at all. It goes from companies to relationships, whatever. Yeah, but no bad how bad ECW was there toward the end. He was always very entertaining, whether he was with the Dudley Boys or whoever else that they put him with. He was always, you could. They brought him into TNA for that. Those couple, the first ECW kind of theme pay-per-view they did after all those guys had left WWE. And, it was a very watered down version of Joel Gertner. And, but yeah, I saw that clip today as I was sitting there. I was, I'd set up my stuff and I had a couple of minutes before things started. So I'm sitting there taking a break, sitting in the car with the AC running. And I'm scrolling through and I see Joel Gertner pop up on my screen on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, hell, here we go.
There's a part of me that's like, oh, that's a sort of interesting pickup. And then there's another part of me that's like, yeah, but do people remember him? Like, I know we do because we're weirdos that.
Your wedding begins here. You've found your person. Now find your perfect place. Welcome to Marin County, where your love story meets its perfect setting. Exchange vows beneath ancient redwoods on a sun-kissed beach or overlooking the sparkling San Francisco Bay. Whether you're planning an intimate elopement or a grand affair, Marin offers the space and the spirit to make your wedding uniquely yours. Discover where forever begins at visitmarin.org and explore the weddings page for details.
Shaping policy for California's youngest children? First 5 California's 2026 Summit brings together policymakers, advocates, and early childhood professionals to move systems forward statewide. If this work is yours, we hope you'll be there. Register now at ccfc.ca.gov.
Like, have dove into this culture, but like when I talk to people up here that are locals that are younger, they don't even know who Vince Russo is. So Joel Gertner, in fairness, is a bit more of an obscure name than Vince Russo. So there is the part of me that goes like, it's a good hire, but is it a good hire? Like, is this what direction are you going with some of these hires? But
well, I will say, in my opinion, I would say for what they are. Now, if it was AEW or WWE, would I say it was a good hire? No, I would not, because no matter how over the top that AEW will go, the only time that he could ever be truly himself would be on a pay-per-view, because Tony does allow that. But he would be so watered down in the WWE. But for the type of fans that JCW attracts, and a lot of them is the old school ECW people that follow them, that enjoy them, because, the ICP did have a run in ECW as well. And, like I said, they're bringing in a couple of names, Ernest the Cat Miller, a lot of people that might have stopped watching wrestling from years ago.
Okay.
The Cat's on there. Let's check that out.
That name would get me to turn the channel. In fairness to the Cat, I love the Cat. He's great. So he would get me to go, oh, I will watch JCW for the Cat. I know he's just going to be a manager or whatever. But, yeah, Joel Gertner.
No. He threw a nice little sidekick on what was that kid's name?
Active talent, or is he just going to be like, a manager?
Well, again, in all fairness, all I saw was the clip, but Vince Russo had him out there, and what was that kid's name? Colin or Colby something that we saw him that night. He won when we watched it, but
I can't remember.
But as they're going back and forth, and Vince Russo's in the ring, he's like, who the hell do you think you are? Ernest the Cat Miller, you were only the 4th best Mortal Kombat character in WCW. Why are you even here? And I'm like, ooh. So they kept mouthing off back and forth to each other. And he was calling
that storyline.
Yeah, he was calling the Cat old and this, that, and the other. And the Cat finally heard enough and kicked, through that nice sidekick he always threw. He still got it in there and, knocked him on his ass. Colin Delaney or something like that, whatever the kid's name was.
That sounds a bit more familiar. Yeah. Something like that.
But yeah, it got me. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to sit down and when I get a minute to breathe, go back and watch some of this, because Vince Russo's always been a train wreck. I mean, you can sit there and watch his stuff and like it. You can watch his stuff and laugh, but you're always going to have some kind of reaction. It's not, and I know I'll catch hell over this, but I like the Motor City Machine Guns. I really did. I like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. And they were great in NXT, but and where I'm going with this is, their music would hit and they would come through the curtain and there'd be absolutely crickets, when they came through the curtain. I felt bad for them because they are great wrestlers, all four of them. Ciampa's getting a huge reaction, coming out by himself in AEW. Now, I don't know what kind of reaction Gargano would get if he showed up there. I don't even know if that's his real name, what he could use, what he can't. But, I mean, Ciampa's got great music. He's got a great look. He always has. And, he's getting over in AEW. I don't know what the deal was with WWE. I know Triple H really liked him, back from when he brought him into NXT all those years ago. But,
it's too small.
Those guys coming out, man, like I said, the Motor City Machine Guns coming out, even when they won the tag titles. I mean, it was nothing. Nobody cared.
I mean, okay, so I'll just give the most obvious answer is those guys are professional wrestlers, and WWE is not a professional wrestling company. So
especially now.
tag team wrestling, which is notorious for WWE not understanding at all. So of course they wouldn't, I think tinfoil hat, some of those tag team purchases, like the War Raiders and Machine Guns, were, let's get those guys off other rosters and,
Speaking of the War Raiders, did you see they won the AAA tag team titles?
No, I didn't, but I appreciate it because I love their run in New Japan. Just there's something different, two thick fellas that bully over people. It's great stuff.
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I don't know if you've watched it yet. If you have, we can talk about it a little bit more. If you haven't, I would tell anybody to go watch it. Chad Gable and Luke.
Head to Safeway this week and enjoy these amazing deals. Clip coupons from the weekly mailer or download them from the Safeway app to breeze through checkout. Fire up the grill for burgers with Signature Select 80% lean ground beef mega pack 6 pounds or more for $4.99 per pound. And sweet corn 8 ears for just $1, limited items. Enjoy a clip or click offer on red cherries for $1.99 per pound, limit 4 pounds. Visit Safeway.com for more details. See you in the aisles.
Messi fans, Lowe's Messi halftime event hits July 19th. That's coming up fast, so now's a really good time to become a MyLowe's Rewards or a MyLowe's Pro Rewards member. Join for free and get access to exclusive Messi moments and epic surprises. Let's just say halftime's looking different this year. Make sure to follow Lowe's on TikTok and tune in to the Lowe's Messi halftime event on July 19th. Members get more at Lowe's. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Visit Lowe's.com/terms for details. Subject to change.
Would Kaiser put on one hell of a wrestling match Saturday night. That El Grande versus El Grande, that storyline has gotten so over in Mexico. I know it's comedy here in the States, and that's whatever, but they put on a 45-minute clinic of heel versus, your just hated heel versus your loved babyface. Mm-hmm. And they put on a clinic that a lot of the people on the main roster, and whoever's running the shit now, whether it's Nick Khan on up, whatever, would probably disagree with me because that's not what they want on their TV. But I would implore those guys and girls to go watch that match with Ludwig Kaiser and Chad Gable. That match 45 minutes long, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it.
Oh, it was in fact 45 minutes long. I'm
yes.
trying to find the. Oh my goodness. Okay, there was no overview. Yeah, no, I hear nothing but good things, especially coming out of AAA. It's just one of those things that's on my radar, but let's just say every time I watch WWE, I get burned, and I see it AAA over there, and I'm like, it's like a different stove. I've touched an electric stove, but now there's a gas stove, and I was like, I kind of want to touch it, and I'm worried I'm going to get burned. So I've been sort of nervous to watch Grande versus Grande because everybody's making it out to be like the greatest professional wrestling match ever.
No, I wouldn't say that. But for today's standard, let me break it down that way. For today's standard, I don't think for today's standard you're going to find anything within the past couple of years that comes close to it. Now, your opinion could be completely different than mine, but you watch.
I'm holding it in. You know what I mean?
Okay, let me rephrase that for you because I know you watched a lot of Japanese stuff that I have not.
Okay.
Anything on the North American side of the border, And that, from Canada down to Mexico throughout.
You can say that.
How's that? Is that better? Because I don't know what you have to compare it to. So all I know is what I have to compare it to.
So I'm gonna compare it to the last 2 weeks, which have been a light heavyweight tournament with whoever wins faces the champion at the end. So a lot of the matches I've been seeing recently are like building up to high stakes matches, and tomorrow it's built up to the final. So the last couple of days have been really, really high level wrestling. Like Watto versus Vegeta is honestly match of the year contender. These guys go 27 minutes, and at the end you can see them basically like collapsed in the middle of the ring because they just put everything in their bodies on the line. So this is kind of a tangent, but it reminds me of something Dave Meltzer was talking about a match recently where he's like, everybody's talking well about, I think it was a Trick Williams match. And he's like, yeah, but it's in the middle of this tournament of a lot of very high level wrestlers who are working at a very high level. So it's one of those like, unfortunately timed if you're watching everything, but I can understand that it's from the WWE point of view, this is the best thing ever produced from that umbrella.
Well, two things real quick on Trick Williams. Trick Williams is perfect for the WWE. He's built like a brick shit house. He's a big dude. He's great on the microphone. He's got great music. The crowd gets into it, and the whoop that trick chant comes out, and he's serviceable in the ring. That's the best I could say for it. So that's kind of where I went with Jade Cargill when I saw her for the first time. It wasn't nothing against AEW at the time. I'm like that she's got WWE written all over for the way she was built. And, they have not, some people are like, oh my God, she's going to get to go and learn how to wrestle. She's the same fucking person she was in AEW. She's the same wrestler she was in AEW. She's not doing anything different. She finally pulled out her little, I'm that bitch. It took her 2 years to do that. But I mean, you watch her matches in AEW and watch her matches in WWE. They're the same. She just fits that better. I don't know.
I think the point of the Meltzer's comment was everybody was raving for this TV match, and they're saying it's one of the best. And he's like, guys, like, take a step back, watch everything, and then take a step forward again. And everybody's got sort of mad at him. But it's like, for certain people, it's just context. Everybody's got that. What is it? The whole relative, whatever. You guys can watch a certain match and think it's great. But when I look over, I go, oh man, I'm burnt out on light heavyweight matches. We've just watched 97 in the last 2 weeks. It's, you know what I mean? So I could see where Meltzer could be burnt out on a light heavyweight match in WWE. Well,
I'll tell you too, the one thing I did not like about the El Grande storyline was it ended. And the reason I say that is Chad Gable was phenomenal. I've always liked Chad Gable.
And I feel like I know what you're about to say, but go on.
Well, no, I mean, Chad Gable, I've always liked him. Always thought he's been underused. I thought they took shots at him they didn't need to take with that Shorty G gimmick they put him in for a guy that could probably legitimately beat up 3/4 of the roster in a shoot. And, so now with this El Grande storyline being done and him being revealed as Chad Gable, which we all knew it was from the start. The only reason Kaiser went under the mask was Gable legit got hurt. And, what are they going to do with Chad Gable? I mean, are they just going to shit all over Chad Gable again? That's what I don't like about it. What are they going to do with Chad Gable? And I don't think it's going to be much.
I think I'm done with you. Gone. They don't have a well rotated roster where at least he's going to show up next week, because you don't really know with WWE. At least with other companies, you can see on their, match cards and stuff. They're like, well, no, he's still part of the company. He's going to be rotated in and out of matches. It's just not going to be the same. You know what I mean? Because I'm very used to like, okay, you're at the top of the card. You're fighting for the heavyweight champion. The storyline ends. Well, now you just go to the bottom of the card for a little bit so someone can go to the top of the card now. You know what I mean? Like there's a bit of a rotation, but you don't look bad. doing opening tag matches, because it's just like, no, your story's done. Let someone else take over, and then we, you know what I mean?
And
everyone through.
I will say, well, we'll get to this other crap here in a minute when we start it, but cycling on through, and people will laugh, but I said when they signed Danhausen that done correctly, he could be, at the very top of the company. I didn't realize he was going to be the best fucking thing in the company. But now, yes, they've had Pat McAfee on ESPN with his show and bringing wrestlers on, blah, blah, blah. But, if you go back in the annals of history of when Pat McAfee signed his ESPN deal, unless something's changed, he's not well liked over there. A lot of the people that have been there for a long time to pay him the salary they paid him and his crew, they had to let a lot of those longtime people go. From on air and off, behind the scenes. So a lot of those longtime people that stuck around, they don't like him too much. They don't think he's worth the money that he's getting paid. God bless Pat. You make your money, man. I ain't mad at you for it, but so he had that little niche. He had the niche of wrestlers and stuff coming in and out of his show and this, that, and the other. But now, you got Danhausen all over he was on First Take again yesterday, doing banter with Stephen A. Smith. And, you'll occasionally see a wrestler now that, they're all doing whatever they are doing together. And you see it here and there before, but not like you do now. And it's all, Stephen A. and Danhausen, I'm not an NBA fan, but, when the NBA season's over, when the finals are over, I'm going to be kind of sad because, Danhausen and Stephen A. been going back and forth about the NBA finals. It's been great. And, he's been great. Is he, like we've talked about, is he a catch 10-star match guy? No, he's not. He can wrestle. I mean, if you watch him, you'll be surprised if you've never seen him wrestle. You're not going to expect that from him.
Legitimate question. How many matches has he had in WWE since his debut?
Too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's where I just go, I feel like I'm turning into Jim Cornette at this point, but I don't get it. I don't.
Well, like I told you before, I mean, he's funny to me. I don't know how much you've paid attention to it, but his skits here lately on TV, he's like playing Dr. Frankenstein, trying to bring something back to life. They don't know if it's, the speculation is this Baron Corbin. It might be Enzo. It might be whoever. That's been kind of to me. But for what he's there for, I think he's wrestled 4 or 5 matches, and I don't think he needs to wrestle that much. You need to let him come out and shoot T-shirts at the kids and do his little backstage gimmicks.
Would you look at that? It's time for some of our favorite Snapple Real Facts. Real Fact 1433, toe wrestling is a competitive sport. Real Fact 732, the chicken is the closest living relative of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And Real Fact 1599, a man once ate an entire airplane. Youch. Did he have any hot sauce? Yeah, so anyways, this has been a refreshing break brought to you by Snapple. Real tea, real juice.
With Snaps, it's refreshing!
Introducing the all-new MLB Plus, your ticket to streaming baseball's best. Let's go! Enjoy MLB Network 24/7 with live out-of-market games and award-winning shows. Enhance game nights with MLB Big Inning, live and commercial-free. And hear live home and away radio broadcasts of every game, blackout-free. Even stream minor league games all season. It's all here and it's all new. Get MLB Plus for just $59.99 a year. Visit MLB.com/MLB Plus.
Let him do what he's basically been doing. His matches consisted of, mostly he wrestled somebody, but then he got into this Miz, Kit Wilson stuff, and so I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I feel bad because I feel like Jim Cornette's voice in the back of my head. He can't work. He can't wrestle. Why is he on a wrestling show if he can't wrestle? What's going on?
Well, I've been. We've been posting a lot of those clips to Instagram and TikTok of of new stuff and old stuff, and the ones that I posted when I'm watching the old stuff, I mean, I sit there and reminisce. I'm like, it's just not like this anymore. Because I told you that's what I think today is missing, and I think what will not you won't see people get over the way that you had a Piper, a Hogan, a Flair, Dusty, Magnum, Nikita, the Heat versus the the Rock and Roll Express, Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express, people were emotionally invested. Today, they look for that holy shit moment, which it's times have changed. That's fine. But when I go back and post those old clips like that, I yearn for something for the yesteryear. And let's get into it because Double or Nothing, in my opinion, if anybody's listened to the show and watched it, I have I'm a hard critic on AEW. Double or Nothing to me was a fantastic show from top to bottom. I did not pay a whole lot of attention to the women's 4-way. I mentioned that a couple weeks ago after we went over it, and WWE follows it up with a great pay-per-view with AAA on Saturday. Then we get this horse shit at Clash in Italy on Sunday. It opened up with Cody and Gunther, which I thought would be a decent match, and it just fell flat on its ass to me, and the finish was ridiculous. Did you see that?
No.
Make a long story short, they go back and forth. They kick out of each other's finish, this, that, and the other. Cody finally hits him with his third or fourth crossroads, whatever he called him in. And I knew it as soon as I saw it. When Gunther fell back and rolled, his foot went out it wasn't on it was under the rope. Mm-hmm. And the referee counted 1, and then Cody like grabbed the leg and pulled both of them in, and he got the 2-3. And as soon as the 3 count was there, Gunther's mad, bitching at the referee, this, that, and the other. The legitimate gripe, but that's normally how the babyface loses, not the fucking heel. But
yeah, and like let's be real, complaining about the rules in modern day WWE is a bit like no one, you know what I mean? No one cares about the rules, but you're like, I get what he's doing. It's a very pro wrestling thing, but it's very old school. It's very 80s. It's very international. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with you, but again, that's normally how a babyface loses. Not a heel.
Yeah.
The only time I remember a heel losing that way, if you go back to the trilogy of Steamboat and Flair, Steamboat beat him the first time and won the title. Then Flair gets his rematch 2 out of 3 falls. And on the third fall, they were 1 apiece. On the third fall, he picked him up for that reverse chicken wing again, but he couldn't hold it because, he's selling the damage done to him. And he falls back in a cradle, position for the pin. The referee counts 3. Flair's foot is very obviously outside the ropes, but of course the referee didn't see it. And that's why Steamboat agreed to a third match, because he said, he saw the tape. And he said, "But when I beat you this time, you're not getting another rematch," which in turn set up, Flair won. He's getting cheered. He won with a roll up, an inside cradle, believe it or not. Go back and watch it. And then Terry Funk gets up there and beats up Flair. The first time we ever see somebody go through a table on US TV. I can't, guarantee if it had been done other places, but he pile drive Flair on the table, and that set Flair's babyface, in turn, and that Funk Flair feud. But keep moving. Brock beat Oba, and so they're 1-1. So we'll get a rubber match at some point.
This I saw because I was told it was high cinema, and I had one of those Lenny moments where it's like, you guys live like this. You get like, I don't know. I watched Brock Oba. And for all the hype that everybody gave it, I just kind of watched it and went, that's what this is. This is what it is. Like, I don't know. Did not enjoy it. I didn't really understand what was going on to begin with. So
I had told you before with WrestleMania, if you didn't, whether you watched or not, that match got the most buildup of any of the other ones. You had your title matches and everything else happening. Punk, Roman, Cody, whoever the hell Cody faced. Oh, Randy. Cody versus Randy. You had all these big time matches. And they just push Brock and Oba. And to me, it was another Brock Goldberg situation. That can Oba move better than Goldberg? Absolutely. Is he a better athlete than Goldberg? Yes. Is he bigger than Goldberg? Yes. Does he look like a killer? Yes. Does he look like he could legit, go at Brock Lesnar? Yes.
Okay, so this might be a fundamental thing where the opinions changes. When I see Oba Femi work, I don't necessarily see I see a big guy doing big guy moves, but when I see him work, I don't go, whoa, look out. You know what I mean? I just go, it's just big guy doing big guy moves.
That's exactly what he is. Well, yeah, please don't take me the wrong way. That's exactly what he is.
I know, but that's it. Is kind of my argument. I've seen, you know what I mean? I've seen big guys, but I've seen big guys that can work. So what, you know what I mean? I just
for
don't
big
see
guys, for big guys, Bronson
right?
Reed is probably the best big man they got that can work.
I don't know
in
if
the
I
company.
call Bronson Reed.
Jonah, whatever you want to call him.
Oh, Jonah. Yeah, sorry, I got confused with Braun Breaker. Yeah. But Jonah could work. Jonah could do a 30-minute match. He can do 27 minutes of a G1 because I've seen him do it. You know what I mean? When I saw Brock and Oba, I was always part of me was like, is someone hurt? Do they not trust Oba? Is there limitations? Because they're not really doing a lot. You know what I mean? It was super basic, super, super simple. That part of me watching it when I don't think that they think this Oba guy's very good. And that's just the way I view wrestling is I was like,
yeah, but then you fast forward, 24 hours to Monday, and he comes out there and destroys everybody. And it was a fatal 4-way to move on in the King of the Ring tournament, and they made him look like a world beater, and he won the match.
Yeah, I don't know. I
know Penta was in the match. Damn, I can't remember who else was it. Solo was in the match, Penta and somebody else, and he winded up pinning Solo, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I saw that everybody was clipping that he had a big shine spot where he ran around hitting everybody. Yeah, it's like I always said in wrestling training, it's what is it, Spanish and Portuguese? We may kind of know the same things, but when I watch, it's different languages. Because when I watch Oba, I just go, You know what I mean? He doesn't really intimidate me that much compared to some other smaller people I've seen. So I don't know. I just get confused with that whole element.
Well, unless something changes, in my opinion, Brock had said, just like everybody thought AJ was, AJ had said last year that the following Rumble was going to be his last match. He told everybody, but everybody was upset the way he went out. And, Brock had said earlier that he thought, I forgot when he said it, but that he was going to be done this year. And he was looking at SummerSlam being his last match. I thought his acting skills at WrestleMania was pretty good, because I told you, I'm like, well, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But, he got me. I'll give him that. He got me at WrestleMania when he left his shit in the middle of the ring. But
yeah, but
I just think they're setting Oba up to be that next killer. Because with Brock being gone.
I can totally kind of see that, but at the same time, the way, I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't translate for me. When I look at Oba, I just don't see that physicality that everybody else sees, and it just, I don't know. It's one of those moments where you just look over and you go, I don't know.
Well, like I told you, no, I'm not saying he's whatever. It's just that's what it's the WWE. I mean, it's
no, I know. I'm just saying.
You talk about Washington getting burned. I don't, I turn on their stuff these days with very low expectations, and and like here, we'll get to Roman and Jacob last, but the most interesting match of the night for me, and
presented by T-Mobile, the official wireless partner of Odyssey Sports. With an awesome network and great savings, there's never been a better time to join T-Mobile. Visit your neighborhood store to make the switch today.
I bet you'll have no reason in the world. You might know because we've talked about it a little bit, but was Sol Ruca and Becky Lynch, because Sol Ruca defeated Becky Lynch and became the new Women's Intercontinental Champion. Okay. Do you know why it was the most interesting match of the night for me?
No, why? Tell me.
Because they have been working on a 1.5-year storyline with Becky Lynch and the referee Jessica Carr. We've talked about Jessica Carr before, that she wrestles in Evolve, I believe, under a mask. And, she started out, I'm not trying to body shame or anything. She started out kind of chunky a few years back. She has gotten herself in tremendous shape. She was very close with Bray Wyatt. She's the one that got a tattoo down on her ankle, I believe, is where she showed on Twitter she got it. She's gotten herself in phenomenal shape. She's actually pretty good if you watch her on Evolve. And the Becky Lynch has lost every match in the past 2 years that Jessica Carr has refereed except for one. And that was the Mania match where she regained the title from AJ Lee. And she always blames Jessica, and like now it's getting where, whatever. And like at this match at the end, Jessica was kind of laughing at her and walking away. I mean, she didn't fast count or nothing. She didn't cheat her out of the title, but it's the, like the banter, and Becky Lynch is going, losing her shit over a referee. And, so I think they're getting ready to finally pull the trigger and let Jessica Carr get in the ring. But, I'll be interested to see where that goes. Now, it could be a big setup just to let me down, like most of the stuff they do. But, I'm watching that story. I'm not about the old shit moment. I want you to lead me into it. I want you to make me care about it. And so far with that, they have, because I'm sitting there going, it's tonight. Is she finally going to push this ref too far? Because they've done that slow burn with it over, a little over a year and a half.
Yeah, no, I'll say I honestly totally forgot that this was a thing until you said it. I was like, is Becky on TV a lot? And then as soon as you said it, I went, oh, right. Yeah, I guess. Right. She has been on TV. No, I've been paying negative attention to that whole thing. So
now, you get to Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu. And I did not think for any brief moment that Jacob Fatu was going to win this match and become the maybe champion. Yes, I could see that. But, doing the tribal combat and putting the Ugafala ahead of the table, tribal chief, blah, 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 on the line, all that stuff that gets Roman over. I was like, no, he's not winning. And, and the nobody interfered, and they still made Jacob look strong as death. Roman did the old thing that he did, he was doing a couple of years ago when Jacob did his moonsault, that his normal finish. When Roman kicked out, his arm was between his legs, so he got the low blow in when he kicked out. But again, it was tribal combat. It was no DQ, no count out. But the submission or the pinfall had to happen inside the ring. After, they beat up each other pretty good, and Roman pinned him, and and Jacob come out on Monday night, and he did acknowledge Roman Reigns as his tribal chief. That's how they kicked it off. He said that he was going to let his kids see him be a man of his word. And
okay, so question: did he turn heel by doing that? By joining Roman Reigns?
Well, Roman, the crowd cheers him, dude. I don't, I can't.
No,
say...
I know, but we talk wrestling. We always talk about character. Is the character of Roman Reigns a face or a heel? Like his intent. Like you can be like the Punisher and do bad things, but the core of him has a heart that he's doing bad things for a good reason. Or is it just like Deadpool, where he is a bad person, but he's kind of lovable as a bad person, so we just like him?
Roman, to me,
because
he finally came in. He finally came into his own. Whether he's being cheered or whether he's being booed since the whole Bloodline conception, since he debuted with Paul Heyman when he came back to TV after COVID. He hasn't changed. His character hasn't changed.
But what is his character? Like, okay, taking this out of the moment, making someone bow to you is a heel thing, right? Like, unless you have like a King gimmick where it's like parody, but even Harley Race did a gimmick where I think it was Haku or Harley, one of them, they did a gimmick where you have to bow to the King if you lose, and that was a heel winning. So as someone like seeing clips,
I see what you're saying, but the way they did this story with Jacob, Jacob, he did get down on one knee and said, I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. But it was more along the lines for if you're invested in the story in any way. It was a family thing. That's why it was tribal combat. It was to become head of the family. So it wasn't it wasn't like beating you or I or CM Punk in a match or somebody that's just random. and making them kneel to him. It was, no, I'm the tribal chief. You challenge me for my head of the table my head of the family. So if you lose, you have to acknowledge me. But if I lose, I will acknowledge you. Is the way the story was set.
Like I sort of get that, but I feel like you could have done it with something else that made more sense. Because, like, let's say you're channel surfing, right? And you just get this image of like big, mean Roman Reign looking person, and someone's looking at him and like kowtows to him. You're gonna go, well, that's obviously a bad person. Like,
no, and I if you've never watched it and you have no context behind it, I agree with you 100%.
So, like, saying that, I don't understand anything that's coming out of any of the like Samoan Tongan storylines, because I just don't understand who's face and who's heel, because everybody's actions are sort of weird and complicated, and it's not like,
well, if you're from the outside looking in, and if you're watching what they're doing, because Solo keeps coming and staring, doing whatever he's doing, because he's the one that brought Jacob in, then Roman's faction would be heel. But we got a comment on here from Jack, looks like, if I can see that right, about a Jey Uso heel turn, and it seems like it's pointing that way, because Roman told him on Monday, hey, I've got this one, you've held this one before, go get the other one. Why don't you go challenge Cody and get the other one? And then in the segment with Jacob, Jay's doing his thing, do this, do that, and Jacob turned and looked at him. He said, I didn't lose to your punk ass, Jay. And so that's going to be an interesting way they do it, because I don't, Roman can only keep that control for so long before those two explode, and that's where they're setting it up to, unless they completely decide to go a different direction. You might see. Because Solo, it's acknowledged that he is he's Jimmy and Jay's brother, their younger brother. So I could completely see that, him breaking down one night and him and Jacob, getting into it, and, Solo coming out and making the save, but making it for Jay, and Jay having the hell, how Jay's character is. And, but Jey Uso's entertaining, but but also the reports were the reason they took him out of that singles spot that he was in was they lost confidence in him, that, he was getting tired of the match, and, he wasn't doing what they thought he was capable of doing. And so they put him back in the tag team. So I don't know if somebody's been working with him and saying, okay, he's ready now or what, but that was the reports online, that they put him back with Jimmy because they were not sold on him as a single star.
I mean, I agree, but I also, what's it, like a broken clock is right twice, like agree with him, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I should be agreeing with him. Like, he's been around forever. He's been a champ already, right? Or am I confusing him with the other one?
No, he was the world heavyweight champion. He was the one that they
he's not ready for his singles run. He's already been the world heavyweight champion. What is, you know what I mean? There's a part of me that's like, what is going on? How can you say he's not ready for a singles run when he's been the guy? Oh, like, shouldn't it be the other way around, right?
Well, he
like,
didn't hold long. I think they were trying to see what they had, and because he was so over with the crowd, kind of like,
I mean, I get that, but you should also know
like the whole Daniel Bryan thing. They saw, as good as Bryan Danielson is, they saw absolutely nothing in him. But the crowd loved him, and the whole yeet, the chanting and everything else, so they kind of went with that. And then, I don't know, but, I guess we'll see where it goes. I think that, them recreating the bloodline will get interest back on the TV. Jacob throws a new wrench into it for something new. Sammy has done turned heel on SmackDown. Maybe he joins Solo, to have that dynamic, who knows? But you go to Monday night, LA Knight calling out Adam Pearce. I'm just like, what is this crap? Made no sense to me. But the best part of Monday Night Raw was Paul Heyman got speared through the barricade. I saw it coming when it was happening. Seth had done something to Braun inside the ring, and Braun was slowly rolling out, and Heyman had put Braun's foot on the rope, and Seth went out there after him, and Braun got his running start. I said, "Oh shit, he gonna spear Heyman," and Seth sidestepped it, and he speared the wall, was right through the barricade. So that was my favorite spot of Raw. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
No, I would assume he was do not touch. But yeah, no, I haven't seen any of Raw.
Yeah, Paul don't take many bumps, but he will. When he does, it's like the last one he had taken before. The last one he had taken before that was when Roman was gone, and they let Solo's group put him through the table.
Because there is a couple people in history, if I remember correctly, that have been a do not touch. Because Bobby Heenan in WCW was a do not touch. I want to say Paul Bear near the end was a do not touch. Like, as in, if you're in a match with him and he's a manager, don't touch him physically.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why Bobby went.
That's
why Bobby went off and dropped the F-bomb on Nitro when Pillman touched him, because that neck injury. He, I know he, as a manager, he sold that whatever, but that neck injury legit, like.
Yeah, Paul Bear was old and had a couple injuries too, so I imagine there's a handful within history of like, just don't touch them. That's it.
Well, I don't know if you've heard people talk about it or not, but. And I'd have to go back and find it. I'd be interested to see it. But everybody talked about how good Bobby was in the ring. I mean, what a good in-ring worker he was before he started managing, and that neck injury legit ended his in-ring career. And so it wasn't something he was just trying to sell or whatever. It was like he had a legit neck injury before all this titanium and shit that they can do now, was a thing.
Oh, yeah, because if you remember when Warrior picked him up and dumped him, he had already been injured for years and got dumped, and that made it, you know what I mean? That made it worse, and oh, my goodness, yeah, he was injured. But if you look at the way he worked, from what I saw, he was almost a Dolph Ziggler or Darby Allin, for lack of a better term. You'd whip him into the corner, and he'd jump and fly and hit the turnbuckles and bounce and fall. Like, he knew how to sell for the babyface, but he did it.
Another great in-ring worker he was mid-card at best, but he was the mid-carder that would go out there and put people over, was J.J. Dillon. J.J. Dillon was a hell of an in-ring technician until he got hurt.
Oh, yeah, that was before my time.
Paul, Precious Paul Ellering, his claim to fame was managing the Road Warriors, but he was a great worker before he got hurt and could no longer wrestle. Weird dude, but I mean, we go to last night on Dynamite. We're on the road to Wembley in August, I believe, is when that rolls around. But you open up with Ruca versus MJF, and MJF did not get the Hans. He retained the title. It was a decent match. It wasn't nothing to jump up and down about, but it was decent. Did you see that?
No.
Man, you're fucking killing me here. I need to know what your opinion is on this, man. The wild card to return.
I'm surprised that MJF has even had a match. He talks too much for me, so he's not necessarily on my radar, because it's like every time I tune in, it's just him in a promo, and it's like, that's not my genre. So it's one of those like,
see, he's one I would say that I would almost put in the Jade Cargill category because of the way he talks. He would be better in WWE, but WWE would water him down so much that I think it would kill his character. And I'll tell you, I saw something with him 2 weeks ago. I want to say, I forgot who he was talking to, but they were talking about, his contract when it came up and this, that, and the other, and if they had made him an offer. And he's like, yeah, it was a good offer too. They're like, why didn't you go? And he's like, well, he goes, when I say I want to be the greatest of all time, he goes, that's not a character. That's me. I want to go down. He goes, and how poetic would it be if I accomplish my goal and I go down as the greatest of all time without ever going there?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, damn, all right. Okay. But like I said, it was a good match.
Interview got, sorry to cut you off, but it's like, I think that interview got a little bit of heat because there's a lot of people that they can only view pro wrestling through the WWE lens. So for him to say that, they're just so like, but what do you mean? You can't be the greatest if not through this lens. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't understand it personally because I just feel like MJF doesn't fit with WWE. It'd be like if we always bring this guy up, Dean Douglas. If he we were all like, he would be great somewhere else. He went somewhere else. He wasn't that great. He went back. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I feel like MJF's perfect where he is.
He's actually a great example because Shane Douglas took that franchise character from ECW to WCW. And it was Shane Douglas, the franchise, but it was a watered down franchise. And it got nowhere. They tried to bring in, what's that?
Yeah. It's like, this is going to be a semantic argument, but it's like, is that then therefore the same character? It's like a movie going from a book to a movie. If you take parts out of a character, is it the same character? You know what I mean? Are you just getting like Batman's? Each Batman is sort of different iteration of the kind of story, and they take things in and out. But is the Michael Keaton Batman the same as the whatever Batman? You know what I mean? It's one of those where, what's that old one? It's like the ship. You take all the boards out and you put the boards back. Is it the same? I don't know. I just see it as like it wouldn't necessarily translate. They wouldn't let him have that edge, and that's what makes MJF good, is he has that edge, but he can work. And his character doesn't work if he can't work to round, you know what I mean, to round out the character. So I don't know. Personally, I don't think he would fit in WWE, but that's just my silly perspective.
Well, no, I mean, I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying at first glance, because he's very good on the microphone. He compares himself to Piper, which I don't like. But at first glance, just because of the way he can talk, you're like, but if you go deeper and you dive deeper and listen to what he says, he's not going to get away with that stuff on WWE TV, not even a pay-per-view. And
his character has too much depth for WWE to like translate through their lens, because what makes MJF so good is he's so good at wrestling, but his image makes you forget he is a wrestling machine because he's such a piece of shit. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of layers to it. So I don't think they could present him better than the way AEW does now.
A lot of people, bring up Roddy Piper that they don't remember. And I actually posted this clip on TikTok. When they brought him into Georgia Championship Wrestling all those years ago from Portland, they brought him in as a color commentator for Gordon Soley as Rod Piper. And, it'd been barely mentioned that he had been in the ring a couple of times here and there. But for him to become Roddy Piper in Georgia Championship, it was a slow burn. He was playing the heel color commentator with Gordon, but Morocco come out there, and there was, Ole Anderson was involved, and this, that, and the other, and was going after Gordon Soley, and Piper kept going, "Hey man, come on now, come on." And Morocco wound up hitting Piper, and Piper got up and just, like a madman, like Piper was, and what people remember, and went after Morocco and wound up hitting Ole in the process. And Ole's like, "You owe me an apology," and Piper's like, "Fuck you." And it went from there, and then it went into his Mid-Atlantic run with, Greg Valentine and Wahoo and all those people that he fought before he got into WWF. But, no, that's what I'm saying. At first glance, people might say, but like what we talked about, I've said it. I just, I don't have high expectations anymore for the WWE. I don't. Like I said, from a distance looking at it, Gunther and Cody, it might not have been entertaining, but they should have been able to have one, a decent wrestling match. And I was just like, ugh. I'm sitting there, and I don't normally do that in a Cody match. I mean, it might not be the greatest match I've ever seen, but it normally keeps me out, all right, what are they doing? And I'm just like, ugh. And then the finish was like, ugh. So anyway, Mercedes Moné returns to the wild card. She defeats Alex Windsor. Now she moves on, looking to repeat as the Owen Hart winner, because she did do that last year, and maybe they'll continue. They did say that she replaced the lady that started her downfall with the belts. That Willow beat her to take the TBS title. They didn't mention it last night. If they did, I missed it. She's had 2 shots at the AEW World Women's Championship, and she's fell short twice. Once to Chris Statlander and once to Tony Storm. And, so this is the first time we've seen her back. And what do you think? You think they go let her finally tell the story and she finally overcomes the whatever? And I mean, she beat Alex Windsor. She beat her clean. I mean, she made her tap out to her crossface that she calls the bank statement.
It's hard to know because I feel like Mercedes is very much loving what I'm calling the world stage. Because from what I've known, she's been like Canada, Germany, Singapore, Japan, South America, back to Europe. She's been in the UK. So I don't know what she likes more. Because I feel like if you're going to stay with AEW, you have to kind of stay put in the States for, well, depending on how much they use you, you got to kind of stay and be available for TV and all that stuff. But if she likes the hey, I'm in Fiji tomorrow, or I'm in Russia next week, you know what I mean? Because it does look like she loves being a world traveler. So it's really
it also
hard to
depends
tell.
on what her contract says she's required to do. So, but like I said, she meets Alex Windsor and moves on. And as AEW likes to do, when I'm enjoying stuff, then they got to go and pull some dumb shit. They actually had a squash match. Andrade comes out and he defeated the nobody. And he gets on the mic and he's talking about wanting to how MJF beat his compadre Ruca earlier, but he couldn't, he didn't beat him and he couldn't beat him and this, that, and the other. And, the whole MJF Don Callis kind of thing they have going on there. Well, Callis's music hit and he comes out with Jake Doyle, Jake something for you TNA fans out there. And basically takes the mic away from Andrade, doesn't acknowledge anything Andrade says about MJF. And introduces the newest member of the Don Callis family, Kevin Knight.
I mean, were we talking about this when he was in CMML and he was on Moxley's side and we kind of went, is this a dry run for a potential heel turn later on? He can try to Mexico and then
he's done after he attacked Darby at the end of that pay-per-view when MJF won the title back a couple weeks ago. That was his heel turn. But he was
I know, but I'm saying they did a dry run of it a couple months ago in Mexico to kind of see how he works, Well,
no, I'll give him his due, man. He comes out, he looks cocky, he's got the talk down. He did very well. I don't mind the heel turn. I kind of enjoyed it because I told you I wanted him away from Speedball because I do not like that guy. I don't get it. But Don Callis, I think, is Kevin Knight proved last night that he can talk. He doesn't need Don Callis to talk for him. Just like, Kyle Fletcher doesn't need Don Callis to talk for him. But, they bring in one. You can tell that they're planting the seed. They just lost to Takeshita. And they're going to be losing Andrade. You see that coming. And, I don't know. I don't think this is a good move for Kevin Knight, personally. Don Callis has got 18 people in his family, and you only see him, occasionally. I know Kevin Knight's got the TNT title. He did defeat Mike Bailey last night with a little help and interference from the Don Callis family. Good heel heat there. But, again, I don't think he needed that. I think his heel turn was, spoke for itself. And, I thought he would have been a good good fourth member to the Hurt Syndicate because they're talking about adding somebody in. I think he's just going to be watered down and lost inside the Don Callis family. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I guess, the hope is that they'll have a bit more of a, Gato-style booking where you can have him in a faction and just a bit more multi-man matches so he can appear, but he doesn't have to be, you don't have to blow singles matches every time he appears. So I don't know. I see it as a benefit because I like factions for helping people grow. He's with people that are more veteran than him. They can do matches with them, kind of build up. But at the same time, we're talking about Kevin Knight, who went through the Young Lions system, 4 years ago and graduated, and you know what I mean? The guy's been ready forever. Maybe not on the American promo side, but in work rate, in ring, telling a story, he's been ready forever. Like, he's been my boy since I saw him as a young lion in New Japan working with like Taguchi and stuff. So to me, I'm sounding old, but his heel turn is almost a payoff of the story they've been telling so far. Because now this is your kid, standing up to the bully in a metaphorical way. And you're like, they're all grown up. They're on their own now. They can be. Because, yeah, I feel like I've been watching Kevin Knight for 8 years now. Something I could be way wrong, but I feel like it's been a very, very long time.
And we get to the last match. And I'll be honest with you. This, I've always been high on Ospreay. But these couple of matches he's had with Mark Davis is actually, I didn't really care for Mark Davis a whole lot, but the guy can go. I didn't realize how good he actually is until probably about the last couple of months. He went out there and had a great match with Jack Perry, even, defeating him for the title. And he's had these two matches. Like Mark Davis was the one that started the whole Will Ospreay Death Rider storyline, because he dropped him on his head. The referee stopped the match, gave the match to Davis, and they were getting ready to do something to Will. And that's when the Death Riders come out and saved him and threw him over Claudio's shoulder, took him back, and we've progressed since there. But they were having a great match. He kicked out of the Hidden Blade a couple of times. The referee went down. And, of course, here come the Don Callis family, only to be met by the Death Riders. And it kind of went back and forth. And then, Will got him to tap to a Fujiwara Wambar. And, but I mean, it was, he dropped Will on his head again, the same way he did in the first match. Will kicked out. There was a couple of pinfalls that, that he laid there that when the ref wasn't in there. But I mean, it was a hell of a match. I mean, I would go, I would suggest if you hadn't seen it, go watch it. I mean, it was, Mark Davis is slowly bringing me around. Now, him being with Don Callis, I don't mind. He's not a great talker. But, so kind of reminds me of the big guy back in the day that needed the Paul Jones or a Jim Cornette or a Bobby Heenan, Slick, the list goes on and on and on, to go out there and do those promos for him. And they just throw in the, in the background or whatever. But, he's
been one of those guys that even when he was in Aussie Open and New Japan, like, people saw them as equal. There was no like Sean Marty comparisons. They're just like, you have a bigger guy and a littler guy. They're both of equal value. They're going to be great later. And he was, I believe, I could be wrong, but when they showed up, Davis got hurt and then he got hurt again. And then that's why Fletcher has this rise. So hopefully Davis still has it in him. From what I've seen, he does. I did see his eye get bloody taken out on that pay-per-view, but I feel like he's one of those people where I get to sort of sit there and go, see, told you.
But yeah, like I say, he's brought me around. I mean, and maybe it was just me not paying a whole lot of attention. Maybe it was the way he was being used. It could be a combination of both. But yeah, he's brought me around the last couple of months. I'm paying more attention to him. Maybe it's because of the singles run that he's in. It's a number of factor of things. But we're coming up on the hour here, so let's go into today in pro wrestling history. Let's see what this is. Oh, dear God, I'm going to read it and feel old just reading it. 45 years ago today, NWA Big Time Wrestling presented Star Wars at the Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. On this day, Kerry Von Erich defeated the Big Cat, Ernie Ladd, to win the American Heavyweight title. Now, there's a guy people should go back and watch. I loved Ernie Ladd. He was such a good dude. Former football player, big guy. Let's see, 44 years ago, World Class held the Fritz Von Erich retirement show at Texas Stadium. Kerry defeated Harley Race in a no DQ match. The Great Kabuki and Magic Dragon defeated David and Kevin Von Erich to win the All Asian Tag titles. Andre the Giant won a Body Slam Battle Royal. Andre also defeated Bugsy McGraw by DQ. And then, of course, that's when Fritz won the American Heavyweight title. I think that's what it was. He beat King Kong Monday to retire as the champion. Let's see. Joe Malenko The son of Boris Malenko, the older brother of Dean, is 70 today. Happy birthday to Joe Malenko. I didn't know Dean had a brother. Huh. Who knew? Precious, Hattie Williams, still married to gorgeous Jimmy Garvin since 1972, turned 71 today. Happy birthday, Precious. That's another great storyline if people ever want to go back and watch was when he went from Sunshine to Precious. 30 years ago, oh my God, I'm feeling older by the day. On Monday Nitro, Earthquake, John Tenta opened the show with Mean Gene with the following quote: "I'm not a shark. I'm not a fish. I'm not an avalanche. I'm not an earthquake. I'm a man. I'm John Tenta, a 500-pound man." He was angry about the haircut he'd been given by Big Bubba Rogers and clearly tried all the gimmicks he had been thrown his way. And a few weeks later, he defeated Big Bubba and cut off Big Bubba's goatee, better known to most as the Big Boss Man. 5 years ago, Andrade El Idolo surprised AEW fans when he made his AEW debut on Dynamite for the first time. 4 years ago tonight, Carmelo Hayes defeated Cameron Grimes. We talked about him last week to regain the NXT North American Championship and In Your House at the Performance Center. 9 years ago, Extreme Rules at the Royal Farms Arena in Baltimore. In a submission match, Neville defeated Austin Aries. In a mixed tag, Rich Swann and Sasha Banks defeated Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. In a five-way, I was wondering this history. In a fatal five-way Extreme Rules match, Samoa Joe defeated Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt. Joe earned a shot at Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire. 15 years ago, Mick Foley was granted his release from TNA. 2 days prior on Impact Wrestling, Hulk Hogan announced that Foley had been fired as the network executive. I don't remember him being a network executive. That's okay, though. 19 years ago, God, it's been that long. Lance Cade and Trevor Murdoch won the WWE Tag Team titles from the Hardy Boys in Tampa. Lance Cade was actually he was one of Shawn Michaels' students. In his school he was running when he was out of wrestling and tragically killed himself. So,
oh my God.
24 years ago at SmackDown, Chuck and Billy won the tag team titles from Rico and Rikishi in an elimination match. And you talk about a gimmick that was way ahead of its time. If you've never watched Billy and Chuck, you should go back and watch it. It was pretty comical, especially when they got rid of it. When they were doing the whole wedding with Eric Bischoff, they were finally like, "Whoa, this went too far." That was they were way ahead of their time back in the day.
I feel okay. So people feel like because they didn't pull the trigger on it, that's what makes it a bad gimmick, because it's like a what do you call it? A ew gay bad kind of gimmick.
I thought like, the gimmick was. I thought it was awesome.
Got married. You should have completely pulled it off. But no, people feel like the fact that they, even though it's an entertaining bit, the fact that they reeled it back at the last second, people were like, no, you should have got married and did the marriage storyline and do marriage stuff. But that's neither here nor there at this point in time.
Oh, but like I said, if you go back and watch, that gimmick was so ahead of its time, though. 43 years ago tonight in Philadelphia, a strange moment between Andre the Giant Big John Studd. Studd applied a front face lock on Andre and plotting the match to the ground as Hulk, the face lock went on for over 8 minutes. You know why? Andre fell asleep while in the hold.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Yeah. 8 minutes in a front face lock. Can you imagine sitting there? 40 years ago, I remember this like it was yesterday. In the prime of his career, Kerry Von Erich crashed his motorcycle in Argyle, Texas. He was wearing shorts, no shoes, and no helmet when he crashed. Kerry's right foot would later have to be amputated, the fact that he kept secret for most of the rest of his career. He would often shower after matches with his boots on so others would not know. And he was still successful despite an amputation. Mikey Whipwreck is 53 years old today. John Silver is 36 years old today.
Oh, my God.
Former AEW Women's Champion Riho is 29. Gorilla Monsoon was born on this day in 1937, and I don't think I'll ever see a commentator duo that had the chemistry that him and Bobby Heenan did. God, they were so good together.
Yeah, I've like, no matter where you go, they seem to be the duo that's like peak interactivity, chemistry. There's just no. Gino Gambino's a close, but he doesn't have that like soulmate yet, you know.
And that seems to wrap up today in pro wrestling history. Anything catch your eye there?
Not on that list. I did see one that came up recently that was not like perfectly today, but it has been 10 years since the Will Ospreay Ricochet match that happened in the Best of the Super Juniors that destroyed the internet for, I don't know, a few months. You know, the one that everybody was complaining that was, it's video games, it's acrobatics, it's blah, blah, blah. That was 10 years ago, this tournament. So I feel like looking back on that and seeing the complaints of those athletes and seeing how they've evolved and seeing where they've gone since then, like Will Ospreay went from an additive to a tournament to arguably one of the biggest acts in professional wrestling. So, 10 years is a mighty, mighty long journey.
Well, I see on your little nameplate there, Watto versus Vegeta, match of the year contender. Now, I'm not saying that Grande versus Grande is better because I haven't seen that one. But when you get 45 minutes to sit down and watch that match, don't fast forward it, watch the whole thing. And actually, I would like to hear your comparisons.
Sure.
Well, no, because if you send me a link to that, I will do the same. I will watch it, and we can compare notes. Because this is for me, it'll be one thing Kaiser did not know Spanish going into this gimmick, but apparently he's a very intelligent human being, and he went over there and he didn't learn the Spanish off the Rosetta Stone or something like that. He learned to speak like the boys do and like the people on the streets talk. And, he wasn't, speaking where they looked at him and said, tourist, so, and he went over there and embraced the culture. So yes, the commentating with Corey Graves, and I think it's JBL is in English. So I'll be able to follow it. You can follow it that way, but it's not your American style, whatever, and for me, watching the two of them, it'll be close to apples for me. Cause it's, you get what I'm trying to say. It's not
I don't like, I'm still hesitant of putting my hand on that gas stove and I'm worried about being burned again, but it might be just, apples.
Now, and I'm not telling you to go watch Raw or SmackDown. Cause if somebody told you something was good, you'll be burned again.
Even Brock versus Oba was like, Jesus Christ, people watch.
Well, if you watch Brock versus Oba, I'll tell you again, don't go into it expecting, I'm pick one. Shit, I don't know. A good two big man match that hit hard and moved well and worked well. It's just two big guys in there beating the shit out of each other, but they've given a great build up to. The machine got behind it is the best way to put it.
Yeah, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I get what everyone's saying, but when I put my eyes on it, it's like quantum wrestling. Whenever I look at it, I just go, I don't see the physicality everybody else sees. What I see is like a bit of like tameness. So it's like, I think it's one of those like, hopefully, I knowing Chad Gable, he can lay it in, but it's just one of those things where it's like, I just don't see the same thing everyone else does when they watch WWE. It's not translating anymore.
Well, let's see. We'll give out some awards for the week. Grande was Saturday, so that can't go for this week. So match of the week for me would be Davis and Ospreay. What about you? That you've seen this week?
I would say I'm going to try to find the exact show to let you know. But the match of the week that I've seen, where is it? Is Jun Kasai versus Ryusuke Taguchi. June 3rd. Is that? Oh, that was literally yesterday. So I would say that's the best match, and that's not even like a work rate match. That was a death match. It would be equivalent of like, imagine if Terry Funk fought R-Truth. And for some reason, it was perfect. You know what I mean? Like a hardcore person who uses like syringes and ladders and all that stuff fought a guy that gets his butt out, and that's the joke that he does. So was a weird match, but the way it was like two drunk uncles fighting, it just the way that it clicked, it was like amazing, beautiful.
All right. Well, for mine, that was Dynamite last night, so that's easy to find. And Paul, for your homework, when we're done with this, go onto YouTube on this stream and just drop a link to that match so people can find it if you don't mind.
They would have to go on New Japan World because that is the legal way of watching it.
New Japan World. There you go. You go first on this one. What promo of the week have you seen?
Oh, I would pass on this because any promos I just sort of skip anyways because I don't know.
Well, mine would be what we talked about earlier. I saw Joel Gertner back on TV. So whether it was good or bad or indifferent in anybody else's eyes, because if you
special.
If you get offended very easily, then Mr. Gertner is not the one you want to listen to. But Joel Gertner was back, and it kind of gave me a little warm and fuzzy because I hadn't seen him so much. I hadn't seen him in such a long time.
He's not dead.
No, and with his body, you'd be surprised that he's not. Wrestler of the week, I don't know. I guess I'll go with Ospreay because that was a hell of a match, and he won last night. If Davis would have won, I'd have gave it to him, but Ospreay won, so I'll give it to him.
Oh, wrestler of the week. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is going to be an odd one. It's going to sound really weird, but I'm going through all the matches that have been highlighted over the last week. Jun Kasai, a death match master, a man who's been around for, 20 years, who's done light tubes and all this stuff, has been pinning people with like weird roll-ups and like clutches. So it's been fun seeing this. It's been fun seeing Terry Funk become a technical wrestler, if you will. Like all of a sudden Terry Funk is doing like roll up. It's been amazing to see two sides of this really weird character.
Now, if you go back and analyze history, just speaking of roll-ups, Dick Murdoch, one of the things he would do, he would even do it on, like, even if he knew it was a TV taping, if he'd be out there with a nobody, an enhancement talent, a jobber, whatever you want to call the person he was supposed to beat, he was infamous for telling them, at some point in the match to give him an inside cradle, but Murdoch would hook them where they couldn't let go, and the ref would have to count his shoulders down for the 3 count, and then he would go in the back and just be, what the hell did you do? And this, that, and the other. But just little things they used to do to each other. I'm gonna change my pick because I gave Ospreay and Davis the match of the week. Well deserved, in my opinion. My wrestler of the week is gonna be Danhausen. All over Sports Center, everywhere.
Wrestler.
My Sports Center wrestler of the week is Danhausen. So I know we talked about it before. What are you training for? You got anything else coming up that we hadn't talked about yet? If it's not, remind the people when it is.
It's like rumors are of a match coming up in July, but other than that, every 2 weeks, Road Trip Wrestling comes out. I feel like we've been coming out on the 1st and 15th every episode so far. So look out for me on those dates.
And we just went to MLW. And that was fun. I mean, I'm seeing what Killer Cross is doing there. Like I said, I need to watch it some more. We talked about that. Need to watch it some more just to see who is there all the time versus who was in that battle royal. What'd they call it? What'd they call that battle royal?
Battle Riot.
Battle Riot. Yes. Because you could actually be thrown. You could be thrown over the top rope or pinned or submitted to be eliminated. And Killer Cross started it. He finished it, won the title, but there was a lot of people in and out of there that are not regular players on MLW TV. So I need to see who the main players are but it was a good show in my opinion. So yeah, definitely check that out. RCW and the Hard Cam both on all major podcast platforms. And of course, right here on YouTube on the Ringside Syndicate Podcast Network. So you got anything to end up with there, Paul?
We're 11:38 at the time of recording this right now. In about 4 hours, we're probably going to see more than one of the greatest professional like there might be some more than one match of the year contenders in about 4 or 5 hours. So I'm very excited for the weeks to come.
What's in 4 or 5 hours?
We have the semifinals of the Best of the Super Juniors. So it's the last 4 people. It's A1 versus B2 and B1 versus A2, and whoever wins this goes to the finals. The finals goes on to the championship. But this is where everything starts peaking emotionally for a lot of these wrestlers because they're tired, they're exhausted. It's been 2 weeks of like 10 shows in 2 weeks, something like that. So you get these stories of like, what do these people do under hard pressure? Do they buckle under hard pressure? Will they make it to the finals? Are they exhausted? Did they put too much effort in the opening matches? There's a lot of weird, interesting sports stories being told at this part of the tournament. And it's like, yes, it's one of those times for a tournament, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
Okay, well, if you've got 4 to 5 hours, then that means you got time. When we get done, take you a break, throw some water on your face, slick your hair back, and get you something to eat or whatever. Take you a little bit of a break, and then you can watch El Grande versus El Grande. Then you can take you another little break, and be ready for the tournament. And if you're gonna be wrestling in July, you let me know because I need to go ahead and brush. I need to get my passport done because you have to have one of those to come across the border now. Last time I was in Canada, you did not. Don't matter. Apparently, it's okay. I ain't mad at it.
It's one of those.
You let me know because it's going. My birthday is right there, smack dab in the middle of the year. It's on July 15th, Ooh. And I will break out that pink suit and strut and peacock my way down to the ring with you and just hold on. I'll be sign guy if I need to be. You just whatever your promoter says I can get away with.
Whatever we can get away with is our middle name.
Damn right. Well, I appreciate you giving me some grace on the time tonight. We were actually going to do it last night, and I didn't get home till after midnight, man. It's good to be busy. It's good to be in demand. That's why, just like Rowdy Roddy, you got the icon set right here. My name is Jason for Paul. We will see you next week on the Hard Cam.